everyone, and welcome to Fright, your source for short horror reviews. I'm the Fear Fan, and today, let's talk about The Conjuring 2. For those unfamiliar with The Conjuring 1, a bit of backstory. Back in 2013, we learned that James Wan, who I'll argue is one of the best horror directors working today, would be bringing the real-life exploits of true ghost hunters Ed and Lorraine Warren to the big screen. The Warrens, who, in such cases as the Enfield, Amityville, and Harrisville hauntings, conclusively proved that little girls can jump on beds, that homeowners can suffer buyer's remorse, and that no matter how many facts contradict your story, somebody will come along to buy up the book and or film rights because, hey, a good story trumps reality every time. The resulting film was heralded as the scariest of the year, a horror masterwork that would chill audiences to the bone. Sadly, it seems that, in the spirit of the Warrens themselves and the films based off of their most famous cases, certain liberties were taken with reality. And while the movie wasn't bad, it was still nowhere near the mind-blowing cavalcade of terror that was promised. Still, it was a big enough hit with critics and fans to warrant a spin-off. Hey, look at this creepy doll for 90 minutes, the movie, and a sequel. Luckily for me and other viewers, The Conjuring 2 is one of those rare sequels that actually manages to not only rise above the rather mediocre spin-off, but which also stands head and shoulders above the original. Focusing on the famous Enfield hauntings in England, with a brief detour to Amityville no less, The Conjuring 2 is a non-stop assault of tension and fear, a feat that both works for and against the movie. First, compliments have to go to director James Wan. From the original Saw film to the first two installments of the Insidious franchise, Wan has been crafting unique and terrifying films for over a decade now, and he is certainly at the top of his game here. Every scare is unique, memorable, and far from what is typically considered cheap. Each scene drips with dread and atmosphere, and each is so memorable and well enacted that it plays like the movie's central set piece. Every jump and jolt is well set up, and it seems that Wan has mastered the use of negative space, with each frame composed in such a way that the audience is never sure where the next attack is coming from. Every shadow holds a threat, and every corner could have something hiding just beyond it. In addition to Wan's brilliant directorial skills, another thing that heightens the fear is the change in location. While The Conjuring took place in a huge isolated house that practically screamed, "Scary shit happens here," the townhouse where this story takes place seems so banal, so familiar. Odds are you've either lived in a place like it or spent some time with a friend who did, and the result is a more identifiable sense of fear. Basically, the movie works for the same reason that the suburban setting of Poltergeist did, by showing us our everyday world as it would be if the rules of reality suddenly stopped applying. As I've said, the end result is the most out-and-out terrifying film of the year, with each scare being so effective, so well executed, it could easily serve as the tentpole for another lesser film. And while that sounds like a compliment, and it certainly is, it's also the film's biggest flaw. Stepping back to Poltergeist for a moment, what do you remember? The tree? That fucking clown? The final escape from the Freeling house? Each of those is a great scene, full of atmosphere, relentless dread, and a desire to see these poor people catch a break. Now imagine if every single scene in the movie was like that, from start to finish. Exciting? You bet your ass, but also exhausting. By the time the end credits roll, you'll feel practically numb from having been dragged across the coals for so long. And while there are a few brief respites from the terror here and there, each one funny or heart-touching and not in the Mola Rum way, I genuinely felt like I needed a breather. Still, if it's the choice between the flaccid horrors of Annabelle and the non-stop symphony of terror of The Conjuring 2, you can bet your ass which horse I'm going to back. My final verdict is that you should definitely go see it. Anyway, that's all we have time for this week. I'll see you next time on Fright Bites.